Good morning, everyone. Lee Henson, president and founder of AgileDad, and welcome to today's edition of Daily Stand-Up. Without any further ado, let's get started. This week has been so amazing. We're halfway there, everybody, and we're focusing on self-improvement. We're focusing on the things that you can do to uplift yourself so that you have the ability to uplift others. On Monday, we talked about retrospectives and introspectives and how to look internally and look inside and find the things that you need to do to improve. On Tuesday, we talked about building a solid foundation and understanding what your rock is so that you'll have a place to stand to deliver your message. Which leads us to today, Wednesday, which is, what story do you have to tell? Now, this is where it gets interesting. A lot of times when I tell coaches that the most essential part of being a good coach is being an excellent storyteller, to be able to really leave emotion with the people that you're teaching so that they understand a concept or so that they can visualize and work their way through with clarity why something might be important or why they need to make changes or what they need to do in their lives. This is no different in your personal life. When you are being asked what story do you have to tell, I think a lot of people focus on the one thing that happened in their life that made them different. Maybe you wrote a book. Maybe you helped a friend. Maybe you had one event that happened back when you were in college. Or maybe you served a church mission. And you find yourself often referring back, I remember 10 plus years ago or 20 years ago when I did this, and whoa, slow down. If you only remember the things that you did to make a difference from 10 or 15 years ago, what does that say about the legacy that you've left behind for the last 10 or 15 years? So I often find myself when I'm teaching classes, whether it's in a correctional facility or whether it's to people who have mental health issues or whatever the case may be, I often find myself asking, what have you done lately? What have you done in the last week? What have you done in the last month to uplift someone? What are you doing to make a difference? What story can you tell me? And what I often find is that when people try to focus on things in the near past, that the stories often fall apart, that there's not a lot of stories there. And this is a sign, this is one of those symptoms, if you will, that you don't have some of those other things in place, that your foundation's not solid, it's not secure, or that you're not regularly having introspectives to learn about who you really are. And, as much as I want you to talk about, last week we went and served food at a food bank, that's great, and I think that's amazing, and that's the kind of story I want to hear. As much as I want to hear you say, I served a 2-year mission for my church, and that was 20 years ago, and I had an opportunity to do these things, I don't want to discount the fact that you took time out of your life to serve a cause that you felt was very important to you. I think that's admirable. It's awesome. I think you'll receive eternal blessings for it. I think everything there connects. But if the only thing that you can think of that you did, if that's the only story you have to tell, then you're not doing enough to change the world. So, in the spirit of Walt Disney, I challenge you and ask, what legacy are you leaving behind? Are you leaving something behind that's going to change people forever? Are you leaving behind a story that's so awesome that if you had children, and I know some of you may not have children, so just picture for a minute, if you had children, what would your great-grandchildren say about you? Now, this is once you're pretty much long gone, or even great-great-grandchildren, right? Would they even know your name? Would they even know you existed? What would they know about what you're doing and what you've done? Are you doing one thing that tells a story that leaves a legacy that's so amazing that the world should know your name? And, I stole that line from Hamilton, but I think that it's important for you to figure out what legacy you're trying to leave behind and find that cause and stand for it. The one thing in the Agile community that I want to point out that's so beautiful is women in Agile. I've seen Chicks Who Code, I've seen Women in Agile, and I look for every opportunity I can to uplift and support those initiatives because I feel like it's so important that there's not enough beautiful women who have diverse thoughts and opinions who can bring those thoughts and opinions to the table. especially in this time where we're talking a lot about diversity and inclusion. I just think it's important for us to really dig in and ask ourselves, am I taking advantage of this opportunity? Am I standing on this rock with nothing to say? Or am I standing on this rock and telling a story that's going to leave a legacy? Am I telling a story that's going to leave generations after me saying, I wish I could be more like her, or I had the coolest ancestor? I was doing my genealogy and I came across a few really cool names, but one that sticks out to me was Ivan the Bearded. Now, obviously he's from Norse descent, but I asked myself, what would that man have been like? What character trait or quality from him? I mean, I'm sure that guy probably had, just from his name alone, 100 stories to tell, right? And it's so cool because it left me wanting to dig in and find out more about this individual. Coming a little more recent here, I'm related to Jim Henson, creator of the Muppets. Pretty close relation, in fact. But the point that I'm trying to make is his legacy has made a mark on who we are today in the world greater than many other humans could ever leave. He created something that allowed us to leave the world behind and to enjoy the imagination and the power behind our imagination, and to dig in and to explore. And he took it one step further by giving each individual Muppet or creation that he made their own personality and their own lifestyle, so that we could personally connect with one of those. Every one of us has some connection that we can connect to draw us closer, to escape where we are and to say, I get it, I see what's there. But more importantly, when you start to have that story to tell and you can leave a legacy, it allows you to stand on top of that rock and to have an audience. And I think that that's probably the most critical piece of this. Most people don't realize that everything that we do in this world, that there are people on the outside who are looking at us. And, even when we feel like we're perfectly hidden, we're not. There's always some greater power or something that's over us that can see exactly what we're doing. And every single choice we make, creates an opportunity for another decision to be made. And I think it's just so critical for us to hunker down and to say, based on where I am today, based on my rock, based on the things that I'm doing, what type of things can I do to make a difference? And they don't always have to be monumental. Sometimes your story to tell could be going and serving others, whether in a soup kitchen or Ronald McDonald House, a food bank, whether it's buying someone's food behind you in a drive-thru or buying someone a coffee. It doesn't matter what it is that you're doing. But those are the kind of small, fun stories that you can do to uplift others and to make them happy, so that you can in turn have an opportunity to make other people happy, and they can in turn have something happen that could totally turn their day around. It could totally change where they are, so that they can say, wow, that was monumental, and that's something that I want to pay it forward. I want to share it with others. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you self-evaluate and discover that the last thing that you did to make a difference in the world was more than a week ago, you should probably start focusing on something that you can do. And I think the key here is it doesn't need to be monumental. Just figure out something that you can do, because those small things, the fabric of those small stories will eventually intertwine into a beautiful tapestry of life where you can really impact other people. And I think a big part of this is taking away the lenses that cause us to really see things differently. Take a step away from media for a while, step away from social media for a while, step away from all those outside influences, and find a way that you can tell a story and you can make a difference. Well, that's all for today. I hope this was useful for you. As always, I encourage you to tune in to additional episodes of the AgileDad Daily Stand-Up Podcast, where you can learn more about this topic and any others. I want to remind you that if you have a topic that you want to discuss, next week we hope to be going through and sifting through all these topics that we received. We appreciate that. But if you have a specific one, email us at learnmore@agiledad.com. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to cover your topic, so that way we can sift through and eliminate duplicates and cover what you want to hear. As always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.